monetization of data. So all the tech companies out there, the cool thing to say is we care more about people's data than profit. As a lot of people are familiar, a lot of the big tech giants out there are not profitable. They're not interested in being profitable for a few other reasons, but data has been considered the #1 information asset for most of the big companies now for close to a decade. And really the biggest reason for that comes down to the usage of our personal data as an information asset to target, to personalize, to really go after and understand the needs and intent of each of their customers as a whole. Here's a good stat. Again, we have just a 10% increase in data accessibility will result in more than 65 million additional net income for a typical Fortune 1000 company. It's another one of those details that a few years ago someone said might get a lot of eye rolls. A lot of people might say, yeah, my company isn't as good at using the data, becoming actionable, but as everyone realizes, more and more ways to use this data and extract the value, it becomes a lot more believable as smaller and mid-sized companies are using the data in just as efficient ways. So our challenge, again, is to increase profits, improve customer service. 4 of the main ways that we want to target and use data these days is use it in our decision-making, targeting and personalization, understanding the customer experience, and lastly, marketing automation. Data-driven decision-making. One of the biggest things we're looking for when it comes down to data is how does it correlate to a decision? Data's great. 585 people went to my store and 200 of them left the store. What does that mean? Standing alone, that really doesn't mean a whole lot to people without looking into what the next step and the next logical step we need to take as a company to understand what that means. What we're looking to do is take that data, 585 people came to my store, 200 of them left, and turn it into an insight. An insight is pretty much coming into a simple sentence, a simple understanding based off that data as a whole. And this comes down to another of the big challenges with big data, is companies coming up with, should we turn this into paragraph format? Should we write out data reports in sentences? Is that a role for the CMO? Is that a role for our analytics guy? How do we take all this data and summarize it for the CEO when he needs to read it so he can actually make decisions based on it? Or marketing to make decisions based on the data, which drives the insights, which leads to decision making. So this is the natural flow when it comes down to business, to why everyone outside of the tech department, the data department, cares so much about this data analytics, big data analytics, is coming up with the right path to go from insights to decisions, which is really the end goal that's going to make a difference on their bottom lines. Uber is considered these days, was voted in the last year as the most data-centric company that considers data as their #1 objective for their company that gives them a competitive advantage to disrupt the industry. Every 15 seconds, Uber takes the location and the history of every driver, the location and history of every passenger, and aligns them correctly. Their goal when it comes down to big data, the velocity, how fast they update trucks, is a 15-second window to make the right decision. Or in their case, one bad experience with Uber leads someone to use another competitor. In over 50% of the cases, one bad experience. That's all they get. They don't have other shots. They don't have 50 trials. One bad experience has allowed them to lose market share to Lyft, allows them to lose market share to Via, and they understand that more than just about any company out there because, again, when you're talking about direct experiences, they don't do a lot of things. They do a couple things very well. Direct experience, 15 seconds, they have no margin for error as a whole. In their case, they've had 1 billion trips so far. They have 200,000 plus drivers internationally going, and it just shows more and more how much they tie that data to their decision making of where do we put this driver, which driver gets theirs, how safe is this driver, how long is it going to take to get to their next destination.